Hello, this is my Hurricane fan setup using my PC case fan control X8 with USB interface. The broken Salman fan vibrates the dust of like an ultrasonic traducer. Unlike modern times, those were pristine. We are extending the lifespan in a world that's not fit to live in. With this setup, inefficient, power-hungry semiconductors can duck decay. I surmise in retrospect, these devices tend to fail from age. We're setting up the Hurricane setup. We have to be gentle because it's quite dangerous. So just wait for it. Let's set this fan to full speed. Wait for it. Whoopsie daisies.
Very reliable drivers, I think, after all this time, particularly the 1541. I mean, this is kind of the describe this generation really.
I have upgraded my internal fan installation, and we will look at this in this video. I had to do some retakes in the setup, as we will see here later. I've ditched the delay timer, but the efforts are not wasted. It's better to have loved and lost than not loved at all, a girl told me once, and I think, okay, maybe not. I'd like to give out a huge thanks to John at StigsWorld on YouTube for recommending my channel, and also to my subscribers for sharing my videos. That means a lot to me. It is true that the design works like a failsafe, or at least the design that I have before I change it to a permanent, as we will see, permanent fan running, as we will see later in this video. I just want to say that a regular fan is better than no fan at all. Dust buildup is bad seen from a manufacturer's standpoint. They have to design it for all sorts of environments, and then I mean design the disk drive. For most users it is not a problem. Heat is definitely a problem for old semiconductors. Dust we can blow away, but ICs are getting harder to find. Some interesting feedback on Facebook and YouTube. Adding heatsinks. That's a good idea. I think the temperature in the drive will not be higher with heatsinks, but the temperature on the die, the little piece that is inside the IC package, that will come down. So, and still adding a fan is useful to stop the case from overheating though, so I think we'll have both. And also I would like to say something about temperature tests. So when you read my temperature test in the previous video, always know the delta and the delta temperature. So that means know the ambient temperature. You mean you know the room temperature. Let's say it's 25 degrees in the room. Well, maybe not now. It's very hot down in Europe, I hear. So anyway, delta temperature is temperature reading minus the ambient temperature. So now, as you can see in my readings, you can see that from one day I had 25 degrees at the start of the recording in one of my graphs, and I put it on the screen now. And then in the next reading I tested my second drive, and you can see that it starts at a high temperature, but the curve is pretty much the same, but it's a little bit higher. So what you will see is that the delta temperature is the same or almost the same, but the ambient temperature is not the same. So and when you think about it, manufacturers, they say they rate the device to operate at 40 degrees as an upper limit, and that is based on how hot will the hottest semiconductor be, if that is the critical component, or if there is something else. If the plastic warps before that, then maybe 40 is too high. Anyway, but 40 degrees is where the device can operate reliably. So, and then 40 degrees is the ambient temperature, and then everything else inside the drive will then, the delta T will then rise from there. So, and then you can if you know how to calculate the temperature inside the IC package on the die, then you can find out that the temperature there must be under 125 degrees before it pops, or something like that. But anyway, we are dealing with 30-year-old ICs, and we want them to be as cold as possible. So the delta in my design was from 25 to about 45 temperature readings. The delta is then 45 minus 25. So that's about 20, isn't it? 20 degrees delta. So if the temperature in my room is 40 C in this computer room, then the temperature after an hour will be about 65, I think. So yeah. Let me tell you what happened to the timer. As you can see, I did get the 55 times 55 times 10 millimeter 12 volt fan, and it's now running at 5 volts. So what I did was I mixed up plus and minus and blew the ass out of the CD4060 time delay circuit. So anyway, I want to run the fan permanently anyway, and I'm pushing air from the inside to the outside. And also what you can see on the screen now is that when I glued the fan to the case after doing all the measurements, then I had a lot of vibration, and the case did vibrate and amplify those vibrations, so it was quite loud. So I solved that the case vibration noise by mounting the fan to the chassis frame, you know, where everything is connected to, like the motherboard. So what I did was I cut the metal from the C64 modulator shield to make a fan holder, as you can see. So I also want to say why I decided to put the fan over the regulators. This is where all the heat, or most of the heat, is generated anyway, because they have to drop the voltage that comes from the transformer and the rectifiers down quite a lot, because for 12 volt it has to drop from 20 to 12 volt, and to 5 volt it has to drop from 10 to 5 volt. And if you know Ohm's law. Is it Ohm's law? Anyway, it's power equals voltage potential multiplied by current. That's one of them. And then if you then divide that equation by I, then you sit with voltage. And then you will see that in that equation you will get more power if the voltage is higher. So, and I think maybe, and I don't know this, but I think on the 5 volt there's a 1 amperes. So if there's 5 volt across the regulator and there's 1 amperes, then you will have 5 divided by 1 watts. So that's 5 watts. And I think maybe there's more, so it could be up to 10 watts. The rating on the back of the drive says, what does it say? It says 250 milliamp at 230 volt AC, and therefore you have what you have? You have what's that? If it was 1 ampere, that will be 230 watts. And half of that would be 100 and something, 115 something watts. And then for 250 milliamps, that's another half. What will that be? Like 60 watt or something. And I think the rest of the drive is running at 30 watts at the most. So you can think that the regulator is actually burning up half the power. It's very inefficient. So yeah, so the regulators they cause a lot of heat, and if I put the fan inside or the regulator area, then I can suck air from the rest of the drive over the regulators. The regulators are cooled and the rest of the drive will get fresher air though. And also another problem with having the fan outside this area is you get very close to the motherboard. You actually have to bend down those ceramic caps, and you can't have Jiffy dose because that will be too high, and fan heat sinks and yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I also would like to say fan inside this area will not work for older 1541 drives though, because they have different heatsink. Yeah, so those pictures you saw there, they were from Ray Carlson, and I will link them in below. So now I have some alcohol on my fingers just to... it's easier to feel where the breeze is going, so it's like licking your fingers and checking out where the air goes. Air go. And yeah, we're close to the end of this video, and you can see delta temp is now 5 degrees, about 30, and 30 was the room temp. It's quite hot. It's not that hot in Norway today. It's like 25 C. And this computer room is yeah, 30 something right now. So it's as you can hear, it's not very noisy, this fan. And of course it's difficult over the YouTube here to show you how quiet it is, but I can hear the transformer humming, and then on top of that you hear the fan, so therefore it's down in a very quiet levels though. So, and the vibration are not coming out on the case anymore, so that helps a lot. So I'm very happy with this setup now. So I'll put the screws back together and I can enjoy the fan, the drive and the fan. And later I will see if I can get some heat sinks for those chips. And you can also see they have never been swapped as it looks like. No sockets there. So, and here are the solder points. I put it on the diode there. It's on the it's on the regulator is 5 volt, and then the negative one is on the capacitor there for the ground plane. So the 12 volt fan is run at 5 volt. Yep, thank you for watching. See you later.